lot of commitment going on, which is great. But now I want to touch on just a few reminders, not to be that person to nitpick, but if you are speaking, please keep your audio on mute so that we can keep the background noise to a minimum. And throughout the course of the event, we invite everyone to engage on the chat box to connect with all of our global attendees. We will be asking questions, and in lieu of applause, please feel free to welcome other Millennium Fellows and speakers to the chat. We have some amazing speakers today. And for everyone joining us today, please share with us your name, university or organization, and your location in the chat box.
Our first speaker today is none other than Sam Vagar. Sam is the co-founder and director of the Millennium Campus Network. He founded MCN in his dorm room as a young undergraduate with a vision of young people all over the globe improving the world and developing a more sustainable future.
And in 2012, he was selected to be on the list of the top 99 most influential policy leaders under the age of 33. He currently serves as an advisor to the executive director of UN Women and is a successful social entrepreneur. Please join us in welcoming Sam Vagar.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Millennium Fellows in the class of 2019. I know you are all over the world. It is such an honor. I should be looking here, but I'm just kind of blown away looking at all of you, seeing your smiling faces, and knowing what you represent, the passion, the vision, the drive that you bring to this movement. I especially want to thank, I know that you all are equally committed, but we do have Millennium Fellows in Australia who are on, I believe it's midnight or 1 a.m. Jesse, I don't know if you're on right now. Is Jesse around? Jesse, are you there? Can you hear me?
He made it.
Well, I want to thank you and acknowledge you. It's to be on at this hour is unbelievable, and so I specifically wanted to thank all of you tuning in the very early morning. There you are. Hey, Jesse. Good to see you. Yeah, you look bright and lively, so I love it. It's really a pleasure to be with you. What I want to do is just share our story with you of how we got here, and really a call to action. So first I'll share our story, which is that this journey for me started when I was 19 years old. I read 2 books that changed my life. One book was this book, Mountains Beyond Mountains, about a doctor named Paul Farmer, an organization, Partners in Health. When Paul was 23, he actually took medical supplies, stole medical supplies from Harvard, brought them down to Haiti, started working as a practitioner, as a doctor, has been working 3 decades in 9 countries on the cutting edge of global health. His co-founder, Jim Kim, went on to serve as president of the World Bank. This small nonprofit out of Boston, which is my hometown, ended up reshaping the movement for global health equity. So I read that book. I read a book, The End of Poverty, by the economist Jeffrey Sachs. Learned that over 700 million people live in extreme poverty on less than $1.90 a day, and really what that means in human terms. And so when I was 19, I put down those books, picked up the phone, cold called Jeff Sachs, went down to Columbia University 2 days later, met with his team. I said, look, I'm 19 years old, like so many of you, and I don't have all the answers. And I know I don't have the answers, but I know our generation can do more. I know we can do more to tackle extreme poverty, advance the United Nations Millennium Development Goals, now the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and I want to figure out what small role we might play in addressing them. And came back to campus, started small-scale public health fundraisers, just like many of your fellowship projects this fall. Starting small and building incrementally. And then we brought student leaders together from across the city of Boston. We said, look, we're all focused on injustice, but we're doing this work in silos. Those silos minimize impact, minimize the fusion of knowledge. What would happen if we collaborated? 6 months later, we had our first conference at MIT. 1,000 student leaders showed up from around the world, with Paul Farmer, Jeff Sachs, a little-known singer named John Legend, the head of USAID, Paul, Jeff, and John joined our board of advisors. They said, Sam, we're in, let's build a student network tackling poverty. I said, I'm 20 years old, I have no clue what this is. But okay, let's give it a shot. And so we launched Millennium Campus Network, MCN, to help young leaders change the world, to train this next generation of social impact leaders on university campuses. We launched the Millennium Fellowship. And when we did, the hope was really small. And in our first class of 2014, we had a total of 11 Millennium Fellows, just 11 Millennium Fellows in Boston. We grew it year by year, 18 fellows, 40 fellows, had a commitment to all of you, not a commitment to a big dream, but to you, to support you and be in solidarity with you so that you can be in solidarity with communities around the world. And so last year we had this distinct honor of partnering with the United Nations Academic Impact, which is an incredible movement of 1,300 academic institutions that support UN goals. And because of that, we were able to scale and graduate 402 Millennium Fellows last year, leading 214 projects, dedicating nearly 50,000 hours to those projects, positively impacting the lives of almost 400,000 people, from launching a community farm in central Michigan to closing the gender gap in STEM in Saudi Arabia to leveraging solar energy to ensure people have electricity at night in Ibadan in Nigeria. These are all grassroots projects. This year we had, it is hard to believe, but over 7,000 applicants from 1,209 campuses in 135 countries. We selected the top 69 campuses, 6%, to host 1,092 Millennium Fellows in 16 countries. You all collectively are leading over 800 grassroots initiatives that are projected to positively impact the lives of nearly 1 million people this year on every issue from climate change to gender equality to poverty alleviation. You are making the Sustainable Development Goals reality in your communities. And so when people say, well, do young people matter? Every social movement throughout modern history has relied on the leadership of young people. When you look at the movement for civil rights in the United States, the movement to end apartheid in South Africa, the climate justice movement that so many of you are a part of today, every one of these movements is intergenerational, but in large part relies upon the leadership of young people. And so our call to action to you is to do exactly what you've done today, is to show up with empathy, humility, and inclusion as guiding values, to show up to every session and every time you engage in community with those values, to realize that none of us will make the Sustainable Development Goals reality alone. What we need to do is build networks, build systems, work together, build a community of practice, learn from each other's successes and failures, and keep growing and refining and building. This is a generational challenge, an intergenerational challenge. And the goals that we're committed to are to be accomplished more than a decade from now. So we're counting on you not just this semester, but to start to recruit for our class of 2020 and to continue to build the Millennium Fellowship as a trusted movement, a talent pipeline that employers, that graduate schools, that funders, that everyone will know because of you, because of how you showed up every day this semester. So I just wanted to say thank you. And I believe I'm on with one of my trusted partners and our trusted partners. We could not do this program without the United Nations Academic Impact. They're an extraordinary partner, an extraordinary part of the UN system. Ramu Damodaran is a visionary and saw the potential and helped build this with us. And so he and UN Academic Impact is the reason why this program is now scaling and so successful. And so I want to turn the floor over to Ramu. And thank you, Ramu, for your partnership and being with us this morning.
Thank you so much, Sam. Can you see me, or is it clear? I'm sorry, I'm rather new to this technology. But thanks very much for that introduction and for sharing with me, as well as all of you, the tremendous strides that you and the Millennium Fellowship have made in the last few years. The fact that we now have more than 1,000 fellows, and look at the percentage of it, we've had more than 1,200 campuses, as you mentioned, apply, of which just about 70 have actually made it for representation, from which we have these almost 1,100 fellows. We've spoken about the partnership between the Millennium Fellowship and the United Nations Academic Impact. In many ways, and in all honesty, we are the junior partner, because what Sam and his movement have done is to show us how we can enhance what we try to do with the academic impact, which is to bring institutions of higher education in alignment with the United Nations on specific research projects into something far greater, a movement that can actually change the world one project, one event at a time. I was looking at the number of colleges and institutions who are participating in the town hall today. And if you'll forgive my being parochial, I noticed one from my own country, the Indian Institute of Technology in what is now Chennai, or what was Madras earlier. I hope IIT Madras is on the line. I recall in my generation, and I dare say in the present generation as well, most school students had the ambition of doing well enough in high school to be able to join the IIT, as we called it, the Indian Institute of Technology. And the focus was very clear, because the IIT would give you such a rigorous, demanding, and frankly, fulfilling education that you would be equipped to get a job, an employment, which was worthy of your talents. Now, the fact that we have in institutions like the IIT, which demand the same academic rigor, but yet allow students the time and the luxury of opportunity to work on projects outside their curriculum, is a tribute, frankly, to your generation and to all that the Millennium Fellowship does. The fact that you recognize that your ultimate responsibility is not to yourself, to your parents, or to your career, but that is only a part of the much larger responsibility you have to the world at large. In a few months from now, we will be in 2020, which is the 75th anniversary year of the United Nations. We've debated hard and long on what should be the theme for the 75th anniversary year. And finally, we decided it should be the future we need. The idea being that it's all very well to visualize a future that is perfect, that is idealistic, and yet that is attainable. As Sam mentioned, we've moved from the Millennium Development Goals to the Sustainable Development Goals. But beyond that, we also have to think about what is the future that we need, and in a sense, perhaps projected to the year 2045, when the United Nations will be 100 years old, and all of you will be 25 years older than you are now. What is the future you would like to see at that point in time? And I think what this fellowship does, and the opportunities it will give you, is to try and fashion that in terms of your immediate projects. We've all heard the phrase about thinking globally and acting locally. But I would in many ways try to reverse or inverse that phrase to suggest that we must think locally, and by thinking locally, act globally. Because that is what the United Nations is about. The United Nations is not just an aspirational body which suggests what should be done, but it is a body that draws upon the wealth, the richness, the immense beauty of personal experience at the local level, and realizes if this can happen in one community, in one village, it can happen the world over, and therefore translate that into global action. And that is what the Sustainable Development Goals are. They are based certainly on ambition, certainly on what we would like to see the world be, but they're also rooted in the conviction of personal experience. The fact that each one of these goals has been tested and proven to be realizable at the local level. And for your contribution in doing that and taking us forward, my deepest gratitude, and I would presume to say the deepest gratitude of all of us in the United Nations. Thank you.
Thank you, Stan and Ramu, for those amazing, inspiring, and intellectual words. You guys are sincerely touching, I'm pretty sure, every one of our hearts. And on to Sahiti.
Yeah, please join us in welcoming our next esteemed speaker, Dr. Babli Moitra Saraf. Dr. Saraf is the principal of the historic Indraprastha College for Women, the oldest women's college in the University of Delhi. With over 35 years of experience in higher education, her current work focuses on orality and performance in relation to translation studies. She's on the editorial board of Translation, a transdisciplinary journal in Rome, and on the editorial of Sar Sansar, a journal translating from original foreign writings into Hindi.
She serves on various academic and administrative committees of the University of Delhi and of the Government of India. She was selected as a visiting scholar under the Fulbright Nehru International Education Administrator Seminar Program in 2011. Not only that, in 2009, she was invited to be part of the first all-woman, 6-member Indian delegation to visit Saudi Arabia for the People-to-People Contact Program under the Delhi and Riyadh Declaration and represented the education sector. In 2017, she received the Woman of the Decade in Academia Award in the Women Economic Forum. Please join us in welcoming Dr. Saraf.
Yeah, okay, great. Well, greetings from Indraprastha College for Women. I'm the very, very proud teacher today in our part of the world. It's Teachers' Day, 5th September. And what could be prouder for a teacher and an educational institution than to join in on this global network of wonderfully committed young people all over the world, as well as their mentors who are here speaking to us. I really feel so proud to be part of this experience. Here in Indraprastha College, I'm surrounded by these wonderful young women. My colleague, Dr. Supriya Saha, who is the mentor of this project Noor, which has worked with empathy, humility, compassion, and inclusiveness with to alleviate the world of both education, looking at the sustainable development goal of quality education for children and adults, looking at reduction of inequalities, and also addressing the ways in which our cities and communities can be sustainable. For this whole inclusive project, our students in this project Noor, which means Project Light, Noor is light in Urdu, concentrated on 2 slum areas, one of them actually lying a little outside of the city in the province of Uttar Pradesh. And in the city, looked at the community of manual scavengers, manual scavenging being a scourge in our part of the world, where undignified labor practices reduce and demean the nature of human existence into unspeakable brutalities. And it is in the alleviation of that suffering and in the relief and rehabilitation of that community that our students have spent more than 2 years working with them. The college itself is one that encourages this kind of outreach activities and activities that touch the lives of people, because as has been said by a colleague just earlier, it's not enough to indulge in personal ambition, in career building, and education itself, and especially quality education, is reduced to nothing, in our opinion here, and definitely in my own opinion, if we have not touched the lives of people to improve and include them in whatever narrative that we call either progress or development. The sustainability, local, definitely, I agree completely with my earlier colleague that it is the local which gives meaning to our experience, that gives us the connection between what we do, what we are, and what surrounds us, and makes intervention and outreach itself meaningful. So it is the most amazing ways in which we have been able to move from the local to this moment of the global. And I'm so proud of my students here who have given us this wonderful, wonderful gift on Teachers' Day, which is celebrated in our part, as I said, commemorating the birthday of the great philosopher and educationist and the first vice president of the country and the second president of the country, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. So on this wonderful occasion, Sam, to you particularly, we owe thanks. Thank you for leading this. Thank you for showing us the ways to make meaningful contributions. And thank you for cognizing the efforts of young people. I think recognition of the effort is really a wonderful impulse for young people to realize that what they are doing is not just in a vacuum or just limited to a small community, but this validation that they get from this recognition that has been given by the Millennium Fellowship really joins them to this global effort, the local and the global effort of pursuing sustainable goals in the pursuit of sustainable development. And you're right that the effect of this is going to be really visible maybe down the road in a decade, maybe more, but we are there and we'll keep at it. So I am absolutely, I have the confidence that I carry the students who are all around. I think that, you know, they are all here in this moment, reaching out. And my colleague here, who has worked so very hard with them. This is a daily, you know, the sustainability of this project is the fact that, you know, you contribute daily in little ways. So they have been able to find employment for the women components of the manual scavenging community, training them to produce clothes, apparel, which they then take to festivals all around the campus where they do fundraising, and they've been able to raise sufficient funds to be able to contribute in betterment of the living conditions. So thank you for this recognition. And I would say thank you, girls, for being so wonderful, so low profile, so self-effacing, so humble, and so engaged in a non-glamorous activity. I think that's very important to recognize. Usually, otherwise, we see that you know, young people like to be, and why not, to be in the foreground where whatever they do is a high-profile activity, a glamorous activity. Here we have a bunch of young women who have been so self-effacing in their contribution that they have to be actually drawn out to speak about themselves. And I'm so proud here to be today their spokesperson. I shouldn't be, they should be speaking for them, but their work speaks for itself. I'm just here basking in reflected glory. Thank you, girls. Thank you, young people all over the world. Thank you, the global community of mentors, of teachers, of institutions, of campuses. And thank you very much, Sam, for being there with us, holding our hands all the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sharaf. I remember what you said, saying being who you are and doing what you do. And if the two go together well, it makes your work so much more meaningful. I really think that's beautiful. I really appreciate all of that. I think we all do. Thank you so much for your words.
Thank you. Thank you very much for being there for us.
Thank you. Next, we will be checking with the University of Jos in Nigeria to hear from one of their fellows, Odinaka Kingsley Obeta. What are you working on this semester?
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Odinaka Kingsley Obeta is my name, and I am of the cohort 2019, and from the University of Jos, Plateau State here in Nigeria. What I'm working on is the Block Malaria Project. Over here in Nigeria, which happens to be a component of Sub-Saharan Africa, we have a huge issue coming up from malaria disease, over this part of the country. So we have about 97% of Nigeria's population at risk of malaria, and we have about 100 million persons who are affected by malaria annually, and we have about 300,000 deaths annually. So that has pushed me and inspired me to come up with strategies in which malaria could be controlled and subsequently eradicated from this part of Africa. So we've had a whole lot of intervention from the likes of Global Fund, USAID, and other international organizations. But we've had a chunk of issues coming down from implementation of some of the strategies that the international organizations do give to our federal and state ministries of health as regards the eradication of this parasite or disease to say. So I came up with the Block Malaria Project to try and see how I can enhance sensitization on malaria, especially rural communities that are more at risk of this particular disease, majorly because they usually don't have good hospital facilities to run to whenever they are down with malaria. So that's basically what I've decided, what I've come up with. And we've worked with a couple of communities here in Plateau State, and we're also trying as much as we can to incorporate other states here in Nigeria, because Nigeria has about 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. So we've started with Jos, and we're expanding to Maiduguri, which is another state that has a very high incidence of malaria. And we're trying as much as we can to see how we can reduce this prevalence by virtue of educating members of the community on the dangers of malaria, the causes, the signs and the symptoms. And we as well try as much as we can to advocate that when you get to see the symptoms as a person, you should go to the laboratory and get tested first so that you can be sure that it is malaria before the doctor can commence prescription, and you can now take good care of yourself through the treatment. So basically, that's what Block Malaria has been able to do. And here in Plateau State, we've been able to work with two communities majorly. 2018, we worked on a particular community. Then this year, we also worked with another community, Genta Mongolo community, that plays host to over 16,000 persons. And we conducted a project. And after the project, we noticed something, that the members of the community understood the concept of the project, and they've been able to replicate it in their community. They've been able to create a sanitation day for themselves. And today they run a monthly sanitation in the community that usually records a turnout of over 600 persons who participate in it. And by virtue of that, they keep their environment clean and hence keep the vector away from them as far as they can. And that's basically what Block Malaria Project is all about. So this year on my project, I will be working with 5 secondary schools in particular here in Plateau State. I will be going there with the team to discuss with them about malaria, because we come to understand that young people these days, because they are not exposed to education on malaria and other communicable and non-communicable diseases, they don't get it in secondary school through PHE and other related courses. We're going there to sensitize them on malaria. We're going there to let them know about the signs and the symptoms of malaria. And we're also trying as much as we can to guide them on how to relate to their parents whenever they notice some of these symptoms, and as well teach them a whole lot about that.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Odinaka. We really appreciate the project work that you're doing, and we wish you the best of luck. And we know that you're going to do very well moving forward. Up next, we're delighted to introduce Rebecca Riccio, the Khalid, and Ulfat Jufali, the director of the Social Impact Lab at Northeastern University in Boston, United States.
Rebecca Riccio is the founding director of the Social Impact Lab at Northeastern University. Throughout her career, she has developed and managed cutting-edge projects, including the first federally funded teacher training program in the former Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, following the fall of the Berlin Wall. Satellite-based email networks connecting health facilities in Africa and Asia before commercial options become viable, and the world's first massive open online course on experiential philanthropy, which engaged thousands of students around the world in awarding grants from the Buffett Family's Learning by Giving Foundation. She also serves on MCN's Global Education Council.
Rebecca is a leader in the growing use of experimental philanthropy education to illuminate the study of the nonprofit sector, civil society, and social justice. We are honored to have her join us today. Welcome, Rebecca Riccio.
Hello, everyone, wherever you are. It is such a joy to be with all of you today. I want to give a special shout out to the students at Northeastern. Hello, Northeastern cohort. I'm looking forward to spending a lot of time with you this semester. When Sam asked me to join the town hall today, I felt like I need to address you the way I address my children, the young activists I work with, and my students. And that is always with an awareness that we're living in a time of unprecedented peril for our planet and for people around the world. And when you have a microphone or you have a video camera, when you have any kind of platform to communicate, you carry a moral responsibility to speak the truth. And so I always promise the young people I work with that I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to be honest with you today. All of you are going to live lives characterized by disruption between climate change and technology and economic and political forces stimulated by globalization. Your lives are going to present a lot of challenges. And I am so thrilled that you are stepping up to address them. And I think that in order to address them, we have to embrace and cultivate the extraordinary capacity that human beings have to hold two seemingly contradictory ideas or emotions in our hearts and minds at the same time. Fear, yes, but also hope. Anger sometimes, but also love. Confusion, but so much clarity of purpose that we are sure we can continue no matter how foggy or obscure the solutions might seem to us. And so I can sit here in front of you and encourage you to take on what seem sometimes like impossible problems, because I truly believe that you make finding those solutions possible. I think you can do it. I really do. It's the only way that I can teach with honesty and integrity in the social change space. So as I was thinking about what I was going to say to you today, it occurred to me, y'all, you know this symbol, the circle that represents the global goals, the sustainable development goals. It occurred to me that this circle provides the perfect illustration of the paradoxes that you're going to have to face over your lives because you have chosen to pursue lives of purpose during difficult times. So the circle, you've probably seen it on the website if you can't see it on me, it's comprised of 17 colors. And at the most simple level, it represents the perfection of a circle. And its beauty comes from all of those colors coming together to complete one whole. And I think as an image of the world as we want it to be, diverse but bound together to create the wholeness of a complete circle, it is an image that we should just keep at the forefront of our minds all the time. On a more concrete level, the circle also represents the elements of our shared holistic well-being. And Secretary General Ban Ki-moon called the global goals a shared vision of humanity and a social contract. He said that they're a to-do list for people and planet. My friends, I'm going to tell you, it is a long and difficult to-do list. It encompasses, as you know, ending poverty and hunger, achieving equity and peace, ensuring that people have access to education, taking on climate change, and more. What an amazing world we're going to live in when we get through that to-do list. But we're here today because we know that too many of our brothers and sisters are still outside of that circle. The circle is not complete for them. And so we have to know, to feel it in our hearts and believe, like I do, that they are truly our brothers and sisters and they deserve to be part of that circle. And until the circle is whole with all of us included in it, then none of us can truly be whole. And so here is where the hope has to come in, and the optimism and the tenacity and the ferocity of our commitment to serving the good. But I'm going to be honest with you again. This work is not easy. And here again, the circle provides a great illustration. As that circle suggests, none of the goals stands in isolation from each other. We cannot achieve equity until we have health. We cannot combat poverty until we have good education. So what I want you to do as you're thinking about your own projects is to imagine all of the lines that you could connect within that circle to each of the SDGs when you think about how they're related to each other economically or politically or environmentally or socially. And pretty soon what you're going to see is an interconnected web. It seems so complicated. It seems impossible to untangle. It's messy, it's complicated, but that's the reality of the world that we live in, of the life that we experience every single day. It's further complicated by the fact that, honestly, we have amazing intentions as human beings, but there are a lot of ways in which we're not predisposed to be great, complex social problem solvers. Our brains want simple solutions. Our hearts want to feel like we've made a difference and stop aching every single day. We're taught in disciplines and in silos. We're encouraged to tell everything about ourselves in a simple elevator pitch or to reduce everything to a 30-second soundbite. And quite honestly, much of the industry of social change and development has embraced a notion that we can monetize and quantify everything and deliver measurable results in a year on problems that have taken years or generations or centuries to develop. The toolkit, that way of thinking about things, is not adequate for addressing a lot of the systemic sources of the issues you're confronting. So I say to you, even though it's overwhelming, embrace that complexity. Resist the temptation to be linear problem solvers or be seduced by the lure of quick fixes and silver bullets. Don't fall in love with your own ideas until you've spent time talking to and learning from the people whose lives these problems affect, and learn from other people's lived experiences. Because we can't afford to be wasting the time and money on problems at their superficial level. We need to be digging down into the roots. And it might seem overwhelming, but here's where I find the silver lining in everything. When you see the complexity of the world, each of those complex contributing factors isn't just a part of the problem, they're a part of the solution. Those are the opportunities you can look for. Those are the levers that you can push to make a difference, which means that whatever industry or discipline or major you're excited about, there's room for you. There's a need for you at the social change table, because it is all hands on deck. I also want to say that the circle represents our connectedness as a species. The values of the Millennium Fellowship, inclusivity, humility, empathy, cultural humility, they represent the best of who we can be as human beings. And they're elements of a kind of decency that is the foundation, the definition of real leadership, grounded in a commitment to social justice and equity. And I can tell you that these are not just feel-good things. They are strategic as well as ethical, because we are either going to fly or fail together. Our fates are intertwined, and we will not each be whole until we are all whole. And so as you develop your skills and knowledge as fellows, I also encourage you to reflect on your values and what kind of human being you want to be. I know, because you're here, what kind of human being you already are, and we can all strive together to become our even better selves. Finally, I want to talk about all of these little elements in the circle as reflecting the parts of ourselves as individuals. We are made of many parts, and if we don't tend to all of them, we will fall apart. The challenges you're taking on are big. You have challenging lives ahead of you, and we need you to be strong. The world needs you to be strong. And so I encourage you to tend to your emotional and physical and mental well-being. Cultivate and find strength in yourselves and in each other. And at the same time, I encourage you to find joy and beauty and love, because those are the things that make these fights worth fighting. And I also encourage you to find somebody you'd hold hands with when you're tearing up in front of 1,000 people. But also to be silly. You're young, enjoy your lives, embrace that, because that all together, that whole package, the entirety of your humanity is what's going to give you the strength to fight these fights and win these battles for all of us. So I thank you. You are the source of my hope and my inspiration. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do. Go fly.
Thank you so much, Rebecca Riccio. I'm touched. We are all, I am pretty sure, ready to carry this project, this weight, and keep moving forward. Thank you so much. Up next, we would like to welcome Carissa Shah, a 2018 alumna of the Millennium Fellowship Program from the University of Pennsylvania.
Hi guys, coming to you live after class. My name's Carissa, and I'm a sophomore at Penn. Like I said, so thank you guys so much for having me today, and I'm so excited for the year to come. I know I had just the best time last year, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about what that looked like for me and my project. So just some background. About 4 years ago, I created Cyber Sensibility. That's an organization that teaches digital citizenship and cybersecurity to middle school students in an effort to combat bullying and cyberbullying. So I've got a number of grants, a number of really, really cool opportunities through this, but I think last year was kind of a turning point for me when I was able to call myself a Millennium Fellow for the first time. So I just wanted to point to a couple of things that happened because of this fellowship. So first of all, I was introduced to this amazing network of people interested in affecting social change in their communities. I recruited 2 regional ambassadors, both who are Millennium Fellowship alumni now, which is really exciting. I think we have this common experience, this common bond that really pulls us together in a really interesting way, and also allows us to kind of push each other in our own projects and in ways I didn't actually think were possible until I met this network of people. So like I said, the curriculum has been expanded to now Nigeria and India because of all of your efforts in making this community possible. I was also given the opportunity to speak at the UN. I think that was, first of all, amazing because as you can imagine, I mean, it was the United Nations. That was just such a cool opportunity, but also because I was on a panel with other people who were interested in pushing forward a goal of bringing people to the private sector, but also just more broadly, helping people in a really interesting and new way. I think joining the campus initiative that we were part of as part of the University of Pennsylvania, and also just being part of the Millennium Fellowship Network, kind of elevates your mission. You're no longer you fighting the good fight. You're all of us. We're all wearing the white hats, to quote Shonda Rhimes. It was really an interesting experience, and one that I truly value and truly hope that you all can take advantage of over the course of the next year. Like I said this before, I want to emphasize this, really get to know your peers, both on your campus, but also around the world. I know there's a Facebook group. Make sure that's being used. Use your direct messages, anything you can. Get to know the people around you who are in your year, the alumni who came the year before you. We're all here, all want to talk to you. I'm sure that we've all had similar problems or issues with our projects that we could help you through. I know just having this network and being able to talk to Sam and Noha and talk to other fellows really has made the most difference possible in development of my project, but also in what I see myself doing as I graduate. I think use this opportunity for development in terms of personal development, but also career development and just as you think about next steps. This program meant a lot to me, and it still does mean a lot to me, and I really hope you can capitalize it and learn as much about it as possible over the next year and beyond. So thank you all for the opportunity. I look forward to everything that you guys do. And I'll definitely monitor the Facebook page for all the cool updates you post about your projects. And it was nice to meet you all.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and advice, Carissa. That was very much appreciated. Now we're going to turn it over to Andrew Rowan-Blatt from Cornell University and Wanto Wanto from the College of Mount St. Vincent in New York, United States.
Hi. First of all, I want to send out a hearty appreciation to our fellows at the College of Mount St. Vincent who are now watching. And this is an amazing day for us. Beyond me is fascinating because our college have been one of those colleges that had their first inaugural Millennium Campus Fellowship. And we are so excited in terms of the fellows we work with. So I just want to, for the first few minutes, let me first introduce myself. My name is Wanto, and I'm the co-director of the College of Mount St. Vincent. I am a youth rep of the Sister Charity Federation, or 2018 Global University SDG champion, or 2018 Obama Foundation Leadership Asset and Dialogue Alumni, and also 2017 Impact Scholarship winner of the Fresh Ambassador Foundation at the 2017 Summer Youth Assembly at the UN. I am extremely excited to be here, and we have amazing fellows at the College of Mount St. Vincent, from Elaine Pollock, who is working on homelessness, along with Emily, who is also working on homelessness. We also have Giselle Sanchez, who is also working on something around violence and education. We have Amber, who is working on a joint project with Krista on homelessness, not homelessness specifically, but violence interrelating to young people. And we have Jane, who is also working on integrating education within the Newbury Bronx Middle School. And we have our co-director, Jennifer Pua, and myself, who are extraordinarily working to integrate the college commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals. And it is an impressive journey for us in terms of the kind of workings that we have created within the few months of work. So fortunately for us, on September 20th, we will be hosting our first ever college workout in solidarity for the global climate change. And this is something that we are so passionate about. In 100 plus years existence of our college, we haven't had something as such, and as fellows of the Millennium Fellows Program, for the first time, we are integrating that approach, and it's very fascinating. Last week, I had a tremendous privilege for being in at the United Nations Civil Society Conference, which young people around the world that were at the conference did something extraordinary, that is creating the first global compact for climate change. And those global compacts sort of write a young people commitment to the climate. If you know, like, this is something I say every single day. Climate change is an intergenerational fight, and because it's intergenerational fight, the preparedness of young people at this stage is crucial to the implementation and mitigation of global climate crisis around the world. And at the College of Mount St. Vincent, we are demonstrating the service that we have assimilated from our founding fathers. We are demonstrating that we sustainably coefficients to be able to ensure that we can be able to achieve and put up a good fight toward climate change. So as the dialogue go on, hopefully we'll share more. I'm so excited to be here. And basically, if you are around New York, around the Bronx, around Manhattan, join us on September 20th. Hopefully we'll also be extending an invitation to a Millennium Fellows team, and we definitely will be excited to have you guys, and we are so passionate about this. And yesterday, to close up, because I think we have a few minutes of time, yesterday we had our meeting with clubs. So beyond the fact of how this have taken our college, like in terms of the excitement around our climate workout, we had a meeting which would also be working with clubs we'll be having our vice president, provost, dean of undergraduate, president of the Student Government Association, and various student club leaders and entire student body, professors, faculties, wearing shirts that will have a symbol of climatic messages. Our club will be able to print the solidarity messages, and then our department here will also have banners. And we sort of want to rally student commitment, not just beyond commitment, also show that they too can be part of the solutions and they can be part of the global fight for climate sustainability. So thank you so much. And thank you so much to the College of Mass and Basic, my fellows, my co-director, Jennifer Puat, and everyone watching through our Office of Public Relations. We thank you so much for following us. This has been an impressive dialogue, and I learned so much, and hopefully we can be able to listen to Andrew. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juanito. Yeah, just to introduce myself, I'm Andrew Rosenblatt from Cornell University. Hi, Cornell. I was a Millennium Fellow last year and again this year, and I was honored to serve as the co-campus director for admissions in North and South America. My projects deal with gender equality, creating safe and sustainable communities, and creating well-being for all. The main thing that I wanted to speak about with that is that not one person can ever do that alone. The way to really seize your time at the Millennium Fellowship, I think, is to reach out to everyone on your campuses, everyone on each other's campuses, and anyone who you think can really help take your project to the next level and really become what you want to do. For example, we're trying to raise awareness for chronic diseases in Ithaca, New York. It's a very rural community where there isn't much access to healthcare or specialists. But with a dedicated team of 7 people on my e-board, 42 volunteers, 2 doctors, and a whole community, we're trying to change how the most medically underserved in Ithaca, New York receive care to prolong their lives and improve the quality of their lives. And that's simply not possible without a team. And that's what you guys all have here. Through the Millennium Fellowship, you're creating a team, you're creating a network of people who are committed to change and who are willing and believe that they can change the world. And you guys, I hope you guys can seize that. So by all means, engage yourself at every meeting, talk to everyone you know, and reach out with any idea or project, because you never know where it's going to take you. Thank you, guys.
Hello, everyone. Ohani and Richard here. Somebody can bring them. Ohani and Richard here. We're happy to present to you Millennium Fellowship at University of the Ozarks in Arkansas, United States of America. And here we are, my fellows. Hey, guys. We are tackling SDG number 2, zero hunger.
In our project, it's called Student Initiative on Food Security. Our projects, one of their goals focuses on establishing a food bank on campus that helps the students have access to food resources during the breaks. Also, we're working on establishing a partnership with a community garden, which grows fresh vegetables and distributes them to the public schools here in Clarksville, Arkansas, through a backpacking program. And some of our goals also are dealing with educational workshops. They range from hands-on experiences through cooking classes, and we're also are engaging students, the whole campus community, with discussions of how to manage a budget with, let's say, like $50 when you have a fall break. So with low budget conversations among college students, that's something that we're really trying to tackle here at the University of the Ozarks, and we are really, really excited to be part of the Millennium Fellowship class of 2019. So thank you so much, Sam, Noah, for keeping in touch with all of us. Thank you for giving student leaders the opportunity around the world to share their projects, make a huge impact in the world. We have 11 years until the deadline for the Sustainable Development Goals is reached in 2030. So keep up the hard work. We'll keep in touch, and do not hesitate to hit the chat box and share your projects with us. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
See ya. Thank you guys for your messages. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much, y'all. That sounds like a wonderful idea, and we wish you the best of luck. And I know that you guys are going to do wonderful moving forward. And now we're going to turn it over to Sam to present the Oceans Prize. Ooh.
Very brief. So each year we have an annual Millennium Oceans Prize presented in partnership with the Remmer Family Foundation. It's an opportunity to catalyze student activism for SDG 14 on the oceans and sustainable fisheries. You may or may not know it's pretty much the least popular amongst all 17 SDGs when we looked at where student activism is. And so we want to catalyze more of that. So we're so thrilled that Millennium Fellows in India are the winners, but rather than let me tell you about their projects, you can watch the little video that they've made for all of you. So here we go.
Hi all, myself Afzal Mohammadi from the Gulmarg Foundation. We're happy to let you know that one of our projects has been selected for the 5th Millennium Ocean Prize by Millennium Campus Network, sponsored by the Remmer family.
Hello everyone, I am Bismi Biju from the Gulmarg Foundation. Our project title, The Journey of Awakening for Protecting Life Underwater, has been chosen as the award-winning project by Millennium Ocean Prize 2019. We are planning to organize a 7-day leadership camp around the Ashtamudi Lake and its premises in the month of November 2019.
We are looking forward for all your support throughout our campaign.
Keep supporting.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining all together today in order to celebrate something momentous, monumental, amazing, inspiring, all of the above. I think a takeaway for today is look at the degrees of connections we've made thus far, and go and run with that today. Whatever you do, go run with that today. Thank you so much, everyone. You all deserve a huge round of applause.
Hi everyone. So before we end the town hall, we just have a few quick reminders for all our fellows. Please don't forget to fill in your pre-surveys, submit your recommendations. Also, our platform on Crew has all of those forms. So if you need anything, just email us. However, everything is in the Get Started section of Crew, and your campus director should be able to guide you to those forms. They all do have to be filled out before your first session or before September 15th. So yeah, we just wanted to give you a few of those quick reminders. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we hope you guys had a great time. We know we certainly did.